Turning to the latest now on Trump's trade war, a federal appeals court has ruled the U.S. president has no legal right to impose sweeping tariffs. But before Canadians think this is the end of the tariff war, the court is leaving the levies in place for now, allowing the appeals to make their way to the Supreme Court. Journalist Steve Futterman has been following developments for us and has the latest from Los Angeles.
This was a split decision by the Court of Appeals, 7-4, basically saying that what Donald Trump did with some of the tariffs, this does not apply to all of them, but a significant number of them, and a significant number that relate to Canada, including the reciprocal tariffs. They said this is something that Congress has the right to do. It's not something that the U.S. president has the right to do. And this is something that has been argued for a while, and the appeals court agreed with the arguments against these tariffs. It went along with the district court, which said basically the same thing, that Trump was basically overriding the rights of this Congress to make tariffs go into effect. Neil Katyal is a former Solicitor General under the Obama administration. He was arguing the case against Trump. This was his reaction last night.
My hope is that if he does see these tariffs as so important, he should go to the Congress and not try and run to the courts to do what he can't get done through the legislative process. If he goes to the Supreme Court, we will be absolutely ready, and we are confident that the Supreme Court will hear our arguments and take them in good measure.
Now, a big part of this, Eli, is that these tariffs, though, remain in effect, even though the ruling goes against them. The tariffs remain in effect till mid-October. This is to allow the Trump administration to appeal the ruling, which it certainly will, to the U.S. Supreme Court. So even though the ruling goes against the Trump administration, right now, nothing has changed in the last 24 hours, but it could change in the future.
Yes, so critical, and so many Canadians watching this very closely. Now,
yes.
Trump did go straight, not to the courts, but to, of course, Truth Social, where I imagine he didn't hold back. Give us a gist of his reaction.
Yeah, as you might expect, very quickly, the president and the White House did react, really attacking this ruling by the Court of Appeals. Let's go to see what the president said on Truth Social. You can see in all caps, he says, all tariffs are still in effect, which is correct. He says, accuses the court of being highly partisan. He then says that if these tariffs ever went away, he said it would be a disaster for the U.S. economy. And finally, if we look at the end of what he said, he talks about the Supreme Court. He feels the Supreme Court will back him up. Again, lots of legal experts feel differently. Katyal is one of them. He feels the Supreme Court will back up the Court of Appeals. So we're going to have to wait and see. But for the moment, a victory. But again, the tariffs remain in effect, but they have been challenged successfully at this moment. But the ruling is going to have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. It seems almost certain, Eli, the Supreme Court will make the final decision on these tariffs, and they will probably make it fairly soon. Again, the mid-October date has been set up by the Court of Appeals. That's when this ruling would take effect. We probably will expect a Supreme Court decision before that.
Journalist Steve Futterman in Los Angeles. So what does this ruling mean for Canada and its ongoing tariff talks with the Trump administration? We spoke about it earlier with Lawrence Herman. He's an international trade lawyer and former Canadian diplomat.
It makes for a lot of uncertainty until the Supreme Court clarifies things, but we have to bear in mind that the Court of Appeals struck down tariffs that Trump issued by presidential declaration or proclamation under one statute. There's another statute that he has used to apply tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, and those tariffs have not been struck down. That is not an issue. That separate group of tariffs under a different law still applies. So that is something that Canada has to deal with, but at least we know now that we have to await the decision of the Supreme Court, and that'll have an impact on timing and procedures for the review of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement that's supposed to kick in a few months. We have to wait to see what the Supreme Court of Canada, the Supreme Court of the United States has to say about this. That will have a bearing on the whole CUSMA review process. We're in a waiting game. In the meantime, a lot of uncertainty, lack of clarity. We just have to wait things out.
Lawrence Herman is an international trade lawyer and former Canadian diplomat.